The Antigravity A1 is the world's first 360-degree camera drone, and it changes everything. Filming with drones has always been one of my favorite ways to capture the world, and for years, I thought we were racing towards peak drone cinematography, with incremental image quality upgrades year after year, and with the addition of FPV-style drones for filmmaking, I thought we had done it all. But now, we're putting 360 cameras in the sky. The Antigravity A1 is a 360 camera and a drone. This is a brand new filmmaking tool that I'm psyched to finally own. It features an 8K dual sensor design similar to what's found in your traditional 360 cameras like the Insta360X5. The drone is invisible in the footage, so it just looks like you're flying. Like, imagine flying around in a first-person video game in a VR headset, except it's real life. Not only can you fly in any direction you point at, but you can also look in any direction while you're flying. So to test out what kind of shots we can get with this new drone, we took it to an ATV park here in Florida. My friend Ethan and I took turns piloting the A1 while the other drove around the track on ATVs with my wife Annette. Our goal was to shoot some cool, high-energy tracking shots of us trying to rip it and go fast on this course, and I can't overstate just how easy it was to capture these types of shots compared to shooting on a traditional camera drone. I mean, it looks like we're doing some incredibly complex camera movements, but remember, as a 360 drone pilot, all I have to worry about is the position of the drone relative to the subject, and that's it. So the basic premise of a 360 camera, it records in every direction, right? But there is a right way to film with it. Basically, you want to picture where the camera is in 3D space, where your subject is, and what you want to show in your shot. Do you want it to be a tracking shot following from behind the subject, in front, from the side? Do you want the camera to keep the subject the same size the entire time? That means the camera needs to keep the same distance the entire time. Or do you want the subject to pull away from the camera, opening up that distance over time? And normally with a regular camera drone, you have to be cognizant of where the drone is in 3D space while you're piloting it. And while you're doing that, you also have to make sure that the composition looks right. The camera is pointed at the correct place and maintain that for the entire shot. Let's take a look at an example. While piloting this shot, I was literally just thinking, okay, I want this to be a low to the ground, a high energy shot tracking the subject. So I just need to maintain speed and distance while keeping the subject in front of me. And then I'm like, you know what, let's transition this into more of a bird's eye view tracking shot, showing more of the track. So to do that, I just pull the drone up smoothly and then continue to track the subject from my new relative position. And the rest is done in the editor, which we'll talk about in a second. But first, let's talk about image quality for those of you who like to get a little nerdy with it like me. First of all, the A1 uses two 1/1.28-inch sensors, and on screen you'll see the different resolutions and frame rate options that'll be available in video mode. Notably, you'll be able to shoot at up to 8K at 30 frames per second, and if you want some slow motion, you could go down to 6K at 60 frames per second or 4K at 100 frames per second. But as I said in my previous videos talking about 360 cameras, you're really gonna want to shoot at that max resolution that's gonna be available to you, and in this case, you're really gonna wanna stay with 8K for the best image quality possible. And that's because if you're going to use features like de-warp and try to make your shots look linear, you're basically cropping into your limited pixels to do that. So the more resolution you have to work with from the start, the better your image will look. Now let's talk about editing your 360 footage. With 360 cameras, normally it's shoot now, frame later, and in this case, it's fly now, frame later. The A1 drone will launch alongside the Antigravity Studio app, which is a video editor that's quite similar to the Insta360 Studio app. The most important thing here is that you'll be able to play back your 360 drone footage and choose how you want to frame up your shots for the final export. There are a few preset views like showing you what the front, sides, or the rear of the drone sees, but for me, I love using the keyframing functionality to set different compositions and let the software smooth out the movements between those points. There are even keyframe transition settings you can play around with to make the transitions look smoother and feel more organic. And my favorite feature has to be deep tracking, which lets you choose a subject and the software will create a camera camera movement that follows your subject. Then once that's done, you can either leave the subject in the center of the frame, or you can adjust the frame so you can offset the subject for a different look and feel. All of this means that with a single recording, you can choose to frame it however you want, whether that's a traditional push-in shot, add a bit of movement to create a tilt-up reveal shot, or go crazy and do a 360 roll shot. It really just comes down to your creativity, and that's one of the best things about this drone. So now we know that this drone is capable of capturing some incredibly cool looking footage, and reframing it later in post opens up a world of possibilities, but I haven't even touched on the flying experience, which is worth checking out all on its own. To control the drone, you've got two core pieces of gear, the headset and the controller. First, the headset. Inside your headset, you'll get to see the full 360-degree viewport at all times, letting you look all around you, up, down, left, right, with zero lag. And that's because the drone is transmitting a real-time image of the full 360 video file. Then you've got your controller. It's got plenty of buttons on it, but we're just gonna focus on the two most important things you need to know. Where you point it points the drone. And when you pull the trigger, you'll fly the drone in that direction, which means that you can fly in any direction you want and be able to look around at the same time completely independently from the flight direction, which leads to a really fun drone flying experience.
I love the HUD. Like, this is very Iron Man-esque. Yeah.
Dude, I'm pretty blown away by this, honestly. This is very cool.
I feel like I'm on a helicopter tour right now.
That's very easy to fly.
Right?
Very, very easy. I was nervous. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It feels like a video game.
Yeah, after the first time I pulled the trigger and I saw, okay, I can just point it where I want it to go. That was really it. That was pretty cool.
可以看得清楚吗？哎呦，很清楚哦。很清楚吗？好，你还可以转一下头看一下。哎呦，好漂亮哦！哎呦，哎呦，很明显哦。我就特别看这个里面，它在房子啊，哦，看得很有。哇！嗯，哇，好清楚，这很牛，很牛，很牛。哇，这看过去，哇，那真好。
Beyond the standard way of piloting the A1 drone, there's actually a few different flight modes that can automate the piloting experience that's worth checking out. First of all, there's a mode called Sky Genie with automated flight path options like orbit, arc shot, ascend, and more. You pick whichever path you want the drone to fly, then you use the custom buttons on the grip controller to select a subject or focal point. You can adjust the speed of the movement, and then you just hit start and the drone does the rest. This is one of those really easy ways to capture cool shots with very minimal effort. So on the note of this drone being beginner friendly, they also have a deep track functionality. All you have to do is press and hold the C1 custom button real quick. And now that it's on, I'm gonna go ahead and press and hold to select the subject, drag a little box around myself, and now it's tracked onto me, and I'm gonna go ahead and, let me see, press and hold to select the tracking direction. We're gonna do the front, and theoretically, this should follow me. So let's go ahead and give it a try. Look at this. So this is the auto tracking functionality in the A1 drone, which makes these follow shots a lot easier. Now, obviously, I don't recommend tracking yourself. You should probably be tracking other people, and you should be spending your time dedicated flying this drone, but this is in action. Let's go ahead and do a little turn. Does it follow me? Get in front of me, get in front of me. Very nice. Okay. Also, check it out. I got my own one wheel. Shout out to Austin on Facebook Marketplace for this Pint X. I'm so freaking excited. I've been loving using these one wheels, and this is probably my favorite toy of all of 2025. Probably, I'm calling it now, of all of 2026. This might just be my favorite thing ever. Oh, and can we also talk about the fact that the headset records audio? When you do screen recording? I mean, obviously it's super windy right now, so it probably sounds like crap, but the fact that it does is sick. Let's do rear. Let's see how well it does that, yeah? And then there's also SkyPath, a way to set waypoints in 3D space for your drone to automatically fly from point to point. After you create an automated flight path, you can just hand your headset off to someone else so they can see the 360 camera drone view without having to pilot it. Next, let's talk about build quality. The drone, the goggles, and the grip controller all feel really well built and, more importantly, really well designed. The drone itself is really compact, and with the standard batteries, it weighs less than 250 grams, which means that if you're flying recreationally, you don't need FAA registration. It has clever features like auto-deploying landing feet to keep the bottom camera lens clear from the ground. It's even built with durability in mind, with not only replaceable propellers, but also replaceable lenses in case you scratch or damage your camera lens. If you're curious about how powerful the motors are, here's a chart of the drone's top speed in each direction, and when I pushed it on the track, I was able to get it to top out at 35 miles per hour. It's not gonna outrace an FPV drone, but that's plenty fast to track most subjects. Battery life is also respectable, with the standard batteries giving you a 24-minute flight time, and if you're okay with bumping the weight of the drone up to 291 grams with the high-capacity batteries, you'll be able to get a flight time of 39 minutes. There's also obstacle avoidance sensors on the drone to improve safety and prevent you from crashing the drone as easily, and it also has return to home functionality so that if you lose signal or your batteries are running low, it'll fly itself back to the takeoff point. The headset is also probably the best FPV headset I've ever used. The display looks incredibly good, and the transmission performance of the headset to the drone stayed reliably connected, which was something I was worried about during our test flight of the pre-production units in California back in June of this year, so I'm really glad that they got that figured out. It's got a pass-through mode if you need to look at your surroundings real quick. There's even a defog mode that blasts fans inside the goggles so your view doesn't get fogged up. Both the drone and goggles have internal storage, 20 and 30 gigabytes respectively, and oh, the headset can do this, which I unironically love. Then there's the motion controller. It's nothing out of the world, but it is really well thought out. There's plenty of buttons for easily accessing the most important controls of the drone, and there's even controls to easily rotate the drone or ascend and descend without having to turn your body. And now to answer the question you've probably been wondering this entire video. How much does it cost? Well, the Antigravity A1 comes in 3 different kits: Standard, Explorer, and Infinity, with the price starting at $1,599 for the Standard kit and going up to $1,999 for the Infinity kit. If you're just looking to pick this drone up for some fun, occasional flying, and you're not sure if you're going to be using it that often, then the Standard kit is probably all you need. But if you're like me and plan on using this pretty often and want to get a ton of flight time in, then I'd probably steer you towards the Infinity kit, because not only is having 3 batteries incredibly useful, but I high-key love the design of their battery charging bay. Everything from the hidden third battery slot to the useful LED screen. Plus, you get some extra spare propellers, which is always nice to have on hand. If you're interested in checking out this drone, I'll leave a link to all the different kits in the description down below. So here are my thoughts on this drone, and let's start with the positives first. I love it, full stop. This is the most fun I've had with a drone, and this is also the most usable footage I've gotten from a single day with a drone. Normally when I bring a drone with me, it's so I can get some establishing shots and maybe a few cool transitional shots, and that's it. Why? Because getting slow-moving cinematic shots is incredibly easy on a traditional camera drone, but getting high-energy kinetic shots is not. It's definitely possible, but it's definitely not get it on the first try every time like it is with the Antigravity A1 drone. There's no, whoops, I bumped the camera tilt wheel too hard, or I finished my pan a little too abruptly. With the 360 camera drone, to get the shot, it's just, did I fly like a smooth operator? And if I did, then like 9 times out of 10, I got the shot. Now, the negatives. There's 2 things that you probably should be aware of when it comes to 360 camera drones. First of all, resolution and image quality. Let's not kid ourselves. The image quality coming out of the A1 cannot compare to a dedicated video drone with a larger sensor and fixed focal length. Second of all, there will be times where the stitch line or where the 2 images are combined to create the 360 video file don't look perfect, especially if the subject is at the same height as the drone. But first of all, resolution isn't always what matters. It's story that matters, and I've never used a drone that's so easily and consistently able to deliver the shots that I imagine. And on the first try, most of the time, like this motorcycle shot I got of Ethan, this is the first time I flew this drone after it was sent to me. I just had the idea and had the vision, and we got the shot literally on the first take. Could you imagine how many takes this would have taken on a traditional camera drone? And then regarding the stitch line issue, it's inherently a byproduct of the way these cameras film 360 videos. It's a limitation that can pop up here and there, but you can work around it. And despite those 2 drawbacks, this is still gonna be my primary travel and content creation drone. Like, I'll still be using my DJI Mavic 3 Pro for client shoots and for shots that need to be slotted into a greater, higher fidelity project. But if I'm flying to capture something really cool, or to create some really cool visuals, or to share on social media, the Antigravity A1 is gonna be the drone I'm reaching for.